Good morning. My name is Micah Kaats, and I would appreciate a round of applause after everything I say.
You got it.
Wow, I never thought this day would come. But here we are, the graduating class of 2010. And here I am giving my graduation speech.
Woo!
Thank you. While thinking about what to put in my speech, I considered three important things: courage, resilience, and friendship. These three words are the basis for the most incredibly boring speeches ever written, which is why I've decided not to talk about them. And besides, I'm 17. I'm younger than most of my fellow graduates, let alone all of you. So what business do I have lecturing about important life lessons? Instead, I decided to start my speech by discussing one thing that I do know a lot about: myself. I came to Dwight 7 years ago, and as I stand here before you, I can't help but think how quickly time has gone by. It seems like only yesterday I walked onto campus for the first time, a shy sixth grader, 4'8" on a good day, with an uncontrollable need to dress like Eminem. Looking back, I'm surprised I made it through middle and high school alive. But here I am today, graduating, leaving Dwight-Englewood behind with a class of my peers and taking my first step into the real world. And as I reflect on the time I've spent here, so many wonderful memories come to mind. I remember in 6th grade the way Miss Chang used to always get a bit too close to your face when she answered a math question. I remember in 7th grade when Miss Dang came to the school and nearly quit the first week because we were so obnoxious. I remember walking into Klein on that first day of high school. Thrilled to finally be a freshman, I strolled proudly down the hallway, smelled the fresh high school air, and got hit in the face with a pillow thrown by senior Jamie Patterson. I also remember seeing Mr. Allgrant for the first time and becoming immediately depressed because I felt like I would never be able to grow a beard like his. I even remember the days when Mr. Emery had a full head of hair. I'm just kidding, he never did. I remember seeing AJ and Colby play basketball for the first time and becoming so intimidated that I quit the team. I remember seniors dominating Spirit Week a few months ago and the sea of painted people rubbing it in the underclassmen's faces. I remember the homecoming dance, the fall play, the winter formal, the prom, and I don't remember the Bahamas. I've had some of the best times of my life at Dwight-Englewood School, but it hasn't all been smooth sailing, and I'm sure every single one of us can tell you about at least one time when we wanted to jump ship. This time came for me about 2/3 of the way through my sophomore year. That year, I joined 6 new clubs, played 3 sports, and took every honors and AP class I could fit into my schedule. It was one of the worst years of my life. I simply wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the tools I needed to do everything I wanted to. I scraped by first semester, but by mid-March my grades were suffering and my participation in extracurriculars had seriously declined. I was disheartened and I felt inadequate, so I decided to stop trying. But I barely had time to feel sorry for myself before Mr. Emery ushered me into his office and sat me down for a chat. To be honest, I was expecting the same speech about living up to my potential that I'd gotten from everyone else by then, but instead he simply asked me to take out my assignment book. He asked me questions about what work I had coming up, and together we developed a schedule for how I would get everything done that I needed to that week. It was unbelievably simple, but for whatever reason I walked out of his office feeling just a bit better. I started meeting with him regularly. At least once each week, he took an hour out of his day to help me get back on track. At first, we talked about how to manage my upcoming tests and quizzes. Then we talked about the reasons I let myself get behind in the first place. Then we talked about how to prevent it from ever happening again. And after all was said and done, and I was back to my normal self by the end of the year, as always, we ended up talking about lacrosse. Mr. Emery had a way of reaching me when no one else could. But to me, the most amazing thing about this story is that it's nothing out of the ordinary. Every member of this graduating class has been able to form strong relationships with teachers and administrators that go far beyond the classroom. Whether it's going to Miss Diaz's art show in Manhattan, visiting Miss Sagan at her house for an English party, going to the Penn-Columbia soccer game with Mr. Schmidt, or meeting Mr. Desai at Starbucks to go over problems the night before the AP Calc exam, our teachers and administrators have always gone the extra mile for us, and on behalf of the entire graduating class, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. But now, this chapter of our lives has come to an end. In a few minutes, Mr. Allgrant will call each of our names and we'll walk across this stage to receive our high school diplomas, thus ending our careers as Dwight-Englewood students. Today, we get ready to open a new chapter in our lives defined by professors, lecture halls, dormitories, and frat parties, and I'll be honest, it's a scary thought. But if I've learned anything in the past 7 years, it's that these students you see here before you are some of the most intelligent, talented, and capable young men and women I've ever met. You know, a lot of people end their graduation speeches about a message with staying true to yourself. They tell you to stick to your guns and warn against becoming just another grain of sand. But I don't really think that's an issue for this senior class. I have no doubt that Barack will keep bringing audiences to tears with his performances, or that Will keep hitting home runs in college, or that Francis will keep being ridiculously smart, or that Eric will keep being good at everything. I'm confident that we are as ready as we'll ever be to take on college and whatever life throws at us afterwards. So since I have no real advice to give my fellow graduates, let me take this opportunity to give some advice to, well, the world. Get ready, because here we come. Thank you, and congratulations.
More like Micah Kaats.